Hello everyone, welcome back to Alex Lions, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about Nuno Espírito Santo and why I actually believe he's been the best appointment since David Moyes, which I know was only 2 seasons ago, but we've had 3 of them, and Nuno Espírito Santo is by far the best of these appointments. I'm going to get into why I believe this, and also why I was wrong about Nuno Espírito Santo, because I can't lie, in my original cut of my season's predictions, I put Nottingham Forest in 18th, I think, because of Nuno Espírito Santo. I just didn't think he was that good of a manager. I didn't believe that he had it in him. I didn't see the vision with Nuno. And actually, I've been very wrong, because yes, although it was a rocky start under Nuno Espírito Santo, not really getting that many results recently, and when he eventually got his own players in the January window, all 4 of them, he still has been able to make an impact with those players. He's very much improved a lot of our players that we had here before, and overall has limited mistakes. He's still made a few mistakes here and there, but it feels like he's learned from his mistakes. It feels like when he makes a mistake now, he has a plan B. But before we get into today's video, guys, could you please do me a favour and click that subscribe button? It really does help out the channel. Also leave a like and comment down below your thoughts on Nuno Espírito Santo. And, we'll get into a conversation about our current West Ham manager and the current state of the club. Now, I know the most recent game to talk about is Aston Villa, in which, yes, his tactics were awful. But I think that was because it was plan C. And although you would like a manager to have many plans if many things go wrong, I don't think we have the squad depth to have a plan C. So speaking about Nuno Espírito Santo, you have to sort of look at the micro moments and what's changed since, he's come into the club. And first of all, for me, clean sheets have been a massive thing. Now, I know he's been here a while. Before we got Axel Disasi, you can put that down to Disasi a lot. But when you finally have your own defender who you like, when you finally have your fullbacks back, where Juff and Wan-Bissaka are away for AFCON, he didn't use his starting fullbacks. There's nothing to suggest that Ollie Scholes and Cole did a bad job. In actual fact, I really like both of them. I think overall, you're now going to see Nuno's squad. You're going to see the players buy into Nuno's tactics. The picture of the squad after the Brentford game in the FA Cup speaks volumes. This is a team that's together now. They believe in the project. They believe in Nuno. They actually have confidence, which is something I've not seen from them all season. I certainly haven't seen it under Potter. It was really weird, the Graham Potter years. It was, the Graham Potter 7 months. I don't know how long was, maybe a whole year. Was it January to January? Yeah, like, the Graham Potter year, let's just paraphrase it as that. Because I really believed in Graham Potter. I actually came on this channel in its own and told you guys what I think it will work under Graham Potter. And I was wrong. He just isn't good enough. I always say how I like a manager is if I believe that in the scenario you are 1-0 down in a match, you're going to go into that dressing room at halftime and you're going to get into the players. That's how I like a manager. And now I was wrong, because part of me was like, oh no, that works for Graham Potter because he's got this nice vibe around the club. He's got the players, playing for each other. That team just didn't show up. So when that plan fails, I can't imagine Graham Potter 1-0 down going, lads, you just sort it out. Like, I can't imagine it. I can just imagine him going, yeah. And when you already got a captain at that point in Bowen, who doesn't really want to be captain, I think he's buying into that more now. But I think at the start he really didn't want to be captain. It was more just he's the only option. So you got a manager who I don't think could give a great pep talk. You got a captain that can't give a great pep talk. It speaks volumes when you finally get a manager that I genuinely believe will tell the players when he's pissed off. I believe he will tell the players when he is angry. I believe he will tell the players when they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing out on that pitch. And I think we see that because we all see the love from Nuno. We see the passion from him, even in moments like not watching the penalties against Brentford. Those sorts of things, to me, is something that we've not had since prime David Moyes. Now look, I know this opens the floodgates. People will be like, oh, this is what you asked for. Moyes is gone. He's doing really well at Everton. But there's 2 different sides of the David Moyes era. The Alan Irvine, run, and then the bit without Alan Irvine. Because it's very clear that Moyes, without his backroom staff, just began to not have the same edge. And to me, that's fine. Moyes was great. And I'll tell you what, how often is it that a manager stays for that long? Realistically, we peaked after the Conference League. We weren't going to do better. And now I know people will say, you won't be in the relegation zone though, would you? Probably not. We probably would be in the relegation of David Moyes. But we certainly wouldn't be still in Europe Probably. It depends. Again, I think a backroom staff is really important to a manager. Moving on to Paco Jimenez. What a guy Paco is. He has done such a good job. You could just tell. It's one of those things where you can just tell. You don't really see him do much in terms of, obviously he's just there to be an assistant manager. But you can tell that he is doing such a good job of motivating these players. And do you know what the best thing is? I think it was Ollie Scarves, I could be misquoting which player it was. He said he doesn't speak a lot of English, but we can buy into what his beliefs, we can buy into his passion, which shows that even though he's not communicating with words, his actions are helping the team. Especially someone like Ollie Scars as well, who is very much a squad player. The fact he's going to these squad players and giving them beliefs. Every time I see Ollie Scars come on the pitch, he does a great job. In actual fact, part of me wants him to start against Leeds in the FA Cup, because he deserves it. He hasn't done anything to get dropped, as far as I'm concerned. But Paco Jimenez has done such a good job at just, I think, helping Nuno. We've seen interviews with him as well, being like, oh yeah, I will challenge Nuno, I'll tell him if I think he's doing wrong. Which is great, because otherwise if you don't have that, and you just have Nuno making mistakes on the touchline, and although I do like our backroom staff who, from the under-21s who went up, they're not going to tell Nuno no, because it's not really a working relationship. It's more of a, we've been promoted by this guy, so we don't really want to step on his toes. I fully respect that. I entirely get that. I'm sure there have been times where they've gone, maybe we should do this, but we know with Paco, because of their history, that he will just say to Nuno, this is a mistake. What you're doing is wrong. Don't do that. And I really hope one of those things is don't sub on Max Kilman. But in all seriousness, to me, it just shows that there's a togetherness not only in the team, but in the backroom staff. And there's a belief. There's a belief that we can get out of it. I've never seen Nuno be defeated at West Ham. I've seen him be angry, but I've never seen him defeated. I don't know what game it was, and you guys might be better at this, but I can vividly remember a press conference, or it was one of the interviews on the West Ham YouTube channel, I don't know what it was. Graham Potter, very much not shaven, very depressed, being like, I don't want to talk about positives, and just not having it. And it wasn't like a redemptive, I'm going to fix this. It was more of a puff of the cheeks. I can't do it anymore. And that was quite early on, I think. Because when Nuno's lost, he's gone, no, I made a mistake. He's put it down, he's gone, look, I made a mistake. That Chelsea game, he's openly said in press conference, I made a mistake. He also, I like the fact that he's a bit tongue-in-cheek in the press conferences. Sometimes players will be available, and he'll go, look, this player's not available. We're not going to talk about players today. Love that from him. Use the press conferences to your advantage, because let's be honest, no manager really wants to do a press conference. I always skip them on Football Manager personally. I don't answer the same question over and over again. So, I like the fact he uses them to get tactical advantages, because I think that's what you should be doing. I could be wrong, but that's how I view it. I think that's so important. I also think majorly important is his love for players. And I think this did go wrong with Lucas Paquetá. I think he put way too much stock in Paquetá, and it became obvious that Paquetá wanted to leave, and he still tried. And I get why. If you get the best out of Lucas Paquetá, he is by far the best player in the team. Like, he has the best potential, I guess. He has the best ability in the team. But we weren't getting that. And what he has done is he's unlocked Mateus Fernandes. I think Alhaji Malik Diouf has got better under Nuno Espírito Santo. Players like Pablo and Tati, you can tell, believe in the cause, which is great. Adama Traore, still Adama Traore. I love Adama Traore. It's just that impact sub. I think that's what he needed for. I'm kind of sad that there's rumours we're getting rid of him after this 6-month run, which is a shame. But, again, it's one of those silence where it's like, I like him for, if we got a replacement who's better lined up, all happy for it. But that burst of pace and energy he brings on is really important to us. And yeah, I just think that with Nuno, I believe that he believes we can stay up, which I know is a very convoluted way of saying it. But I can buy into whatever Nuno's saying. I'm sure the players can as well. And you see it in the training videos. It's a happy camp. And also, it shows how bad we were at the beginning of the season, because this team has not been playing like a relegation team. Don't get me wrong, there have been some poor performances. Second half against Chelsea, this Aston Villa game. But apart from that, we played alright. I know some people say that we whiffed against Fulham. I don't think we did. I just think it was one of those things where it's a tight game. Do you know those really tight 0-0s where no team looks good but no team looks bad? I think that was the Fulham game until we scored. I really do. And yes, even though that goal was super lucky, it was a really tight game at Craven Cottage at night. I remember watching it go, we're going to get a point here, we're going to drop 2. And we didn't. We stuck in, we caused Leno to make an issue. I guess you can say that. But either way, some people put the goal away, and Bowen did really well to get that ball. So it shows that even when we're not performing at our best, we still have potentials to win. We're not. I reckon if Chelsea came to London Stadium now, we wouldn't get pumped. Was it 7-2? Maybe that's an exaggeration. But I remember Fulkrug dancing for a goal that got disallowed. That's the only thing I remember. And then I also remember it being one of his highlights. They do the Instagram post to be like, I'm leaving. And it seems to come back now, so that seems pointless. But, I'm leaving. And one of them was his dance that he did for the disallowed goal. Overall, we started the season with a front two of Callum Wilson and Fulkrug. And we now have Pablo Tatti and Callum Wilson. And Callum Wilson's been brilliant as well. And that was the mistake Nuno made at one point, which was isolating Callum Wilson and being like, we don't need him. Don't need Callum Wilson. Because although I don't want Callum Wilson starting games, I think he's quite ineffective from the start. That, again, similar to Adama Traore, that last 15-20 minutes of the game when legs are getting tired, when Pablo and Tatti have given their everything because they run their socks off. That is when you bring those types of players on. And I'm glad that he's given us those players. I know we kind of have trialled using La Madrid. I don't think he's going to make it at West Ham. I think his loan will be that, just a loan. Nuno's built in a really good recruitment process. You can tell he only wants certain players that are actually going to play for him, even though I think Adama Traore doesn't really care about West Ham in terms of the relegation zone, right? I think especially when signing he didn't get. He trusts Nuno that he would help him improve as a player. He'd get him minutes in the Premier League. And yes, I know Adama Traore hasn't played it that much, but I actually thought his first half against Brentford in the FA Cup was really good. I think his performance against Aston Villa was also really good. I think both of those things are absolutely true. I think Disasi, who I've already spoken about and waxed lyrical on, has been fantastic under Nuno. So all those new signings he's got, he's not just gone, oh yeah, let's get them in. Because I know people are like, we didn't do enough in January. To some extent, I agree. But I think what Nuno did really well was get rid of the players he didn't want, who he didn't believe were good enough and or didn't believe in the fight. I quite enjoyed Rodriguez under Nuno for those small spits and spats. I think he played a really important part in the Brighton game at the Amex, unless I'm mixing it up and it was the other way around. But he knows that overall Rodriguez isn't good enough, so he got rid of him. Andy Irving, I love it. I love the story. I feel bad for him that it didn't work out at a Premier League team, but he got rid of him. Paquetá eventually. I mean, I know that Nuno basically gave up and just let him go, but eventually, after a bunch of deliberation, we got rid of him. We got rid of the players that weren't up for the fight. Nuno knew that to get out of this, he needed a squad that could believe they could do it and wanted to get out and didn't just think, oh, it doesn't really matter what happens in the season because I'm off anyway. No. He did brilliantly at getting a squad together that can really buy into each other and really perform for one another. I do think that if he was here instead of Graham Potter, and it wasn't available, so this is a very much hypothetical, but I don't think he would have got rid of players like Vladimir Coufal. I think Cresswell, you never know, but Coufal, a player that will just win the tackle for you, I don't think we would have got rid of. I don't. I still think it was a wrong move to get rid of Vladimir Coufal. I think he was brilliant, and I think he's the kind of player that Nuno would like. I think overall the squad's in a much better place. I think the belief in the fan base is better. I think overall, is it the exciting football that West Ham fans really wanted? No. But it's gritty football. It's football where every player is playing for one another. I do think there are still some issues. I think we don't really know how to use Jared Bowen in our current system. He sort of occupies a right wing-back situation, which is a shame because he's Jared Bowen and should be able to just be up the top and score some goals. But his goal contributions have still been brilliant under Nuno. So maybe I'm just being silly. I think you do see the bad side of those tactics when Bowen doesn't get on the score sheet or get an assist, because the in-between moments are really poor. Not that Bowen doesn't give it his all, I just don't think Bowen's as comfortable in the role as Nuno either thinks he is or hopes he is. But that's literally my only complaint in terms of the tactics. I think, we've ditched that back three now, that's gone. I don't really want to talk about it. We don't really do it. And even if we did do it now, when you're a back three of Todibo, Disasi and Mavropanos, I think it works quite well. I think the only issue is when, Max Kilman was there. And he's no longer in the team, so I think that's fine. Again, I think we got belief. I think we now have a backroom staff that's going to pressure Nuno with Paco Jimenez and give Nuno the right environment to allow this team to perform and help them grow as players, which I think he needed. I think when he first came into West Ham, I personally think, considering we only go for managers on frees, I think he was by far the best option. I'm glad we got him. I think I was really happy when we got Nuno after about a month. This is when we got him. I was like, okay, it's just spinning wheels. But I was wrong. I was proved wrong. I think Nuno is fantastic. And I do think we'll stay up this season. It's just on vibes, but that's when you got a 14 relegation scrap, you got to go off vibes. And I know that there's rumours today of De Zerbi going to Tottenham. I don't know. I still think our biggest rival is probably Nottingham Forest. which I know is a shame given that Nottingham Forest beat Tottenham. I don't know, it could be Leeds, it could be going to that last game of the season. It would not surprise me if that last game of the season comes down to Leeds versus us. If we win, we put Leeds down. If not, Leeds stay up. Cinema. But with all that being said, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments on Nuno Espírito Santo. Were you also a fan at the start, or has he won you over? Or what's your overall thoughts? Do you reckon if we stay up, he should stay? Or even if we go down, do you reckon he should stay? Let me know all that in the comments down below. But please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take it easy, and bye-bye.